Local and state officials are demanding evidence of the shooting be preserved. CBS News confirms that the state-run Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension filed a new lawsuit alleging federal officials mishandled evidence at the crime scene. That comes after they say they were completely blocked from accessing that scene. I spoke with the University of St. Thomas law professor who has for decades researched law enforcement accountability.
The VCA saying we had a warrant, we weren't allowed on scene. How unusual is that?
I don't know of a situation like this. It's unusual and it's really troubling because the state does have the authority to investigate whether a crime occurred. And if we have the federal government actively preventing that from doing that and ignoring a court order, that's a power grab that's deeply concerning.
And with law enforcement and accountability, with, say, officer-involved shootings, explain why there is importance to having outside agencies investigate.
Well, we always want to be careful that an agency isn't biased. And so if it's an agency investigating its own officers, that has an obvious potential for bias. They may want to absolve their own officers. And so that's the reasoning behind having an outside agency investigate any police shooting or any law enforcement shooting.
And with this case, the BCA said, we sort of have this thing we've been doing for years, and this seems to throw all of that out.
So the BCA is the agency in Minnesota that's specifically tasked with investigating officer homicides. So they do have protocols in place. The other issue is, I know people get confused because it's a federal agent who committed a shooting, and the same with Renee Good as well. But the fact that it's a federal agent doesn't mean the state can't investigate or that the state can't possibly prosecute if there's a reason to call this a crime. And so what we're seeing from the federal government is they're trying to claim, well, they're federal agents, they're immune, and that's just incorrect.
Could the courts get involved in this situation? Is it just between law and courts?
Well, I think the court could potentially get involved in the sense of enforcing its warrant if the BCA had a warrant that the federal government is preventing them from acting on. But it gets tricky if it's to investigate the crime scene because there's already potential contamination of the scene hours later.
Something else that really popped out from the press conferences was the fact that we're told that federal officials had to leave the scene pretty quickly. And then we're told that local officials really didn't stay at the scene either, that they were not able to stay there and collect evidence. So hearing that, what off the bat is your questions?
I just have questions about who's in charge and is anyone investigating this? And I have real concerns about the federal government saying they're investigating because we just had a shooting 2.5 weeks ago by an ICE agent where the federal government claimed they were investigating, and we now know they had no intention of pursuing a real investigation. We know that 6 Department of Justice attorneys resigned, apparently in protest over the failure to investigate. We know that an FBI agent in Minneapolis resigned over the apparent failure to investigate. We know that the Trump administration has said it has no intention of pursuing an investigation into the killing of Renee Nicole Good. So to have that and then 2.5 weeks later have another shooting by another federal agent and have the federal government say, well, don't worry about it, we'll investigate, that's deeply troubling.
Something else that came up today was the report that the person who died had a gun. Now, we know Renee Good did not have a gun. How could that make this case different, or could it?
Well, it might. And I don't want to jump to any conclusions about whether this was a murder or not. Certainly the initial video that came out is very, very troubling. It doesn't look like a justified shooting, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. That's why I think an investigation is important. If there was a gun and the officers were actively being threatened, and a reasonable officer would have believed it was necessary to shoot Mr. Pretti in order to protect himself or others, it could be a justified shooting.
Yes, talk about that, because we heard from Bovino today, he said these officers were afraid for their lives. So in that case, officers do have legal protection if they shoot. Is that right?
Minnesota has a statute specifically about when peace officers can use force. And it says essentially that an officer can be justified in using deadly force, which includes a shooting, if a reasonable officer in that situation would have believed the deadly force was necessary to prevent death or imminent serious bodily harm to himself or others. So yes, there are situations for sure when officers are justified in using force, even deadly force. The concern I have here is, was this actually one of those cases? And we know that a federal court judge has specifically found that Greg Bovino himself has lied about previous allegations of assaults against his agency and against his officers. So I am concerned when he's the spokesperson saying this is a justified shooting, our officers were afraid.
Do you think it's possible that this investigation doesn't happen?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's a real concern. The investigation into Renee Nicole Good's death by the federal government, at least, seems to not be happening, or not at least on a serious level. And so I think we should all be concerned that that could be the case here as well.
And we know this is a very Minnesota-centered story right now, but for people in other parts of the country, people in other places, what is the seriousness of a precedent like this?
Well, it's about giving up complete control to the federal government and armed federal agents. And so these types of shootings could happen anywhere. They have happened elsewhere. There's a Border Patrol shot a woman in Chicago. Fortunately, she lived, but they claimed they did it because she was assaulting them, and it turns out that that was untrue. And so I think everyone should pay attention. And again, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions about whether this was justified, but I think everyone should care that fair investigations happen when armed agents are patrolling the streets and killing people.